Heyo, my Planet Coaster friends, Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome back to another episode of Fairground Farms Let's Build. This is the final Let's Build of Fairground Farms, so by the time you guys get through this episode, you will see some cinematics of the very completed Fairground Farms. So stay tuned, and let's check it out. The final build. This is exciting, you guys. Wow, this really went quick, and it's thanks to everybody in the Channel 5 Gaming Discord community. Big thanks to Chant, Wix, Web Searcher, Floss for helping out with all the little micromanagement, being there for all the spotlights. It's just been fun and very fast. fast and fun. Can't believe that, at the time of this recording, by the time you guys will see it, I would have recorded this video probably a week ago, just because I have to release all the content leading up to this and space things out. It's been like 2.5, 3 weeks at most, and we've finished this whole Fairground Farms, and it's bustling. I did a final part count, 112,000 pieces right here, placed down, created by all you guys, and that's amazing. That's huge. So big thanks again to all the people that got into this, and it's really interesting to see the way this shaped out, because Candyland, I know a lot of people were skeptical about the project, even myself. It's like, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make it look like a fun theme park? And, Fairground Farms is really the place that sets the tone for everything, because it's a mixture of everything. It's a farmland that grows all the candy for all the other areas, I guess, other than maybe chocolate and pastries. They're not really baking it there, but that's what the other zones are about. We want everything to be kind of unique, but the general candy, general crops, sugar, all that stuff, syrup, honey, it all comes from here. So this is really, the candy land. Like, this is really it. The Fairground Farms is a little bit of everything, mishmash, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out and how all these different blueprints came together and fit really well. I banged my head against the keyboard and the desk for a while, trying to come out with the layout. And you guys went through this process with me, watching the Let's Builds and seeing me do it, but there's a lot of time off camera where I'm looking at it, thinking about it, sifting through blueprints, and that's where all my brainstorming comes. And that's pretty much impossible to record and document. All I can really do is talk about it a little bit and give my thoughts. So let's do that here. You saw me deconstruct Wix's area a little bit. He built this, he filled up the center area, but mainly the left side, and left the right side open. Going into that, I was looking at that right side, like, what can I do with this? And it wasn't quite enough room for what I wanted to do. So I had to move Wix's blueprints around, shuffle the paths, and realign things a little bit. And I wanted to make a food court, because in the last episode, I did the market, and then I zoomed out, and I was like, you buy food at the market, I have shops at the market, but crap, I didn't utilize the picnic tables. So I'm trying to, it's like, well, I think we need like a food court, like a picnic area, where everyone can gather around and eat. So I decided, well, that little spot that's still open in the center of the park has to be it, because it's the center of the park. Everybody funnels, the traffic all pours to the center, and everybody's rotating around it. All the food, or a lot of the food, should be centralized in this area, and and then everyone can have a place to eat. There's also a little bit of the story where Chant says, the entertainers entertain, and the bells ring, and something about that. I don't really know the story off the top of my head, but it's a good spot to have kind of fake entertainers. So I have some fairies and hedgehogs and different things, like little characters, owls. A lot of it I snagged off of Wix's workshop. Some of it, the hedgehogs I pulled out of one of our fantasy blueprint spotlights. So I thought it would be like a good little area where you see these entertainers, a vista point, people gather around taking pictures, and just beyond that is our picnic table and our eating area. So in order to do that and convert this whole area, which means I'd have to shuffle Wix's stuff around, everything on the left I left exactly the way it was, so I didn't want to mess with what Wix did, because he did work pretty hard on that area. But I did have to move a little bit of the stuff around on the right side. But what ended up happening through this is I brought in a lot more of Wix's mushroom shops, and I went through his workshop and found some extra shops, and you saw me modifying some there for a bit, which actually gave this mushroom grove more of a mushroom feel. You get more of those mushroom tops peeking over, you get more colors, it pops out, and it feels more like the mushroom farm. And it's interesting because they're all shops, or a lot of them are shops, so this is really our mushroom shopping area, but they're growing things here, so it leaves you a little bit to the imagination that the guests are coming in here and they're buying candy, they're buying all sorts of candy goods, and they're going to sit down and eat. Now in reality, they're just Chief Beef burgers and Monsieur Frites and things like that. But this area being centralized, I've converted some of those honey bee jars into vending machines, so people will walk by, grab drinks, come into the picnic area. Same with the syrup farm. The farmers market's literally just down the street, like really close by. So if they happen to buy something from the farmers market, there are benches nearby in that area, but not picnic tables. So maybe they'll waltz over here and sit down with their food, or they can buy food at the mushroom farm here. So yeah, and I'm putting all little Wix's fairies in, had fun with that. I thought that was kind of cute. I had troubles with this because I wanted an entertainer point, but you can't just put down a circle and then have like a small path connect to it, because it shrinks the circle to a tiny path. I was like, there's no way to make like a really good circular plaza that's not oversized without 4 big 12 by 12 paths connected together. Then it's just way too big. So basically what I did is I just did a really thick path with a vista point smack dab in the center, so people will kind of like merge and gather on this big path, so it's like almost like a little plaza connecting to those picnic tables. It was the only way I could possibly pull that off, and having a thin path wouldn't work. So there's a lot of path work in this area, but it works out pretty good because it's still open, and I didn't want to have too much high or tall stuff in this area, because then you can't see the syrup farm or the honey farm as they're coming down the main walkway. So you still want to consider composition, elements, and all that stuff into your level design as you're building these things. And one of my focal points or landmarks was the honeybee farm, and you can see that coming straight down the main walkway, coming in through the main park. You come in, you see the market to the left, you see the sugar farm to the right, you see the big rolling hills with all the crops, and in the distance you see the honeybee farm with a picnic table area. So you get over there, and then you start seeing the mushrooms, and everything starts unveiling itself as you move forward. So I'm really happy with the way this food court turned out, and we needed one in the park area, and it kind of clicked to me after I built the farmer's market. So I'm glad I tackled that first, because then I would have been like crap, and I would have been forced to put the picnic tables in the farmer's market. But I wanted that place to not have that, because I just want bustling, busy city market center. I don't want any open picnic tables. I just want it cram-packed, to the farmer's market. So here I'm rebuilding the bridge because it wasn't perfectly straight. I gotta say, you guys in Discord are amazing for your rapid response. You guys are the rapid response team, and thank you guys so much. I gotta give a shout out to everybody that was there. This gumdrop that you see here was created by Wookie Bush. I asked for a green gumdrop, and he was on top of that. It's part of Chant's story. She says, take a left at the green gumdrop. You see the path diverging off left. There's the green gumdrop. So I'm still trying to consider those things. It doesn't have to be perfect, Chant's story. The story's good by itself without seeing the elements, but if you hear the story and then you also see elements, you get the visual and the audio. So it's really cool. The bridges, shout out to Mast Melon for the smaller bridge, and shout out to Mina for the larger bridge. This boathouse is freaking phenomenal. Shout out to Leebies for that. And what's cool is he actually copied the building structure, like that farm, the barn. It's copied from Deadeye Duck, who we saw did the entertainer point for us. Oh, sorry. He did the entertainer point for us. And he copied the kind of structure, the way he did it, so it's matching, it's cohesive. Then he took he went and subscribed to all the different blueprints from the videos, which to me was really smart. He didn't have access to the master doc, so he must have gone to the videos, clicked on the links. He got the popcorn sheep in there, the duckies, the mints, like a lot of little elements from everybody's stuff, which kind of turns this into not just like a passenger boathouse, but also a shipping and receiving area. They have some of the stuff from Fairground Farms brought over to this boathouse, and they're taking it off in boats to other places. So smart, Leebies. Like that, you're a freaking savant for thinking of that. And it's not just like, yeah, you copied everybody else's stuff and put it together, but you did it in such a way where it makes sense. And I didn't ask that of you. You just did that on your own. And that is super smart. It's super efficient. And it's very cohesive. So, you know, the way I like the way Leebies thinks based off of looking at that. So, yeah, I definitely have you on my radar, Leebies. And that was very smart building there. It was exactly what I needed. I just asked people for a boathouse, and I think a few people tackled it, so shout out to, I didn't write down everybody's name, sorry, but I know some people attempted some things and built some stuff, but, you know, I really appreciate everybody that jumps on it and says, you know, I'm going to give it a try. Just so happens that Leebies was first done, and it looked perfect, and I was like, let's use it, let's go. I was in a hurry, and I was just asking for stuff on the fly, trying to get this park done in that one sitting. So, you know, shout out to everybody who sees those messages and jumps on it, trying to get their little, you know, their little piece into the park. It's super awesome having you guys there when I need something, you know, small or a large. I really appreciate it. It's super cool. And you know, some of the stuff we didn't think about, like when we first do the challenge, I didn't quite think of the boathouse. I didn't quite think of the bridge skins. And even if I did think of the bridge skins, I wouldn't know what sizes I would have needed until I got there, or how many. So I could see this happening in every single zone going forward, where I'm just going to need some, you know, spur of the moment things. Or maybe when we're moving on to the next zone, we make a laundry list of things that we still need to go back to. But ideally, I want to wrap everything up with a nice bow tie and move on. So I could see this happening. We're going to need a couple extra things here and there. But for the most part, we got the bulk covered by these blueprint spotlights. And then there really was only just a couple bridges, you know, the green gumdrop and the boathouse that I needed as extras, which was, you know, you guys came to the rescue really quickly. So thank you for that. That little beach area came together nicely, and again, I just finished that off. Sent out a message in Discord saying, hey guys, I need some beach stuff. Not much, but, you know, something. You know, so some people came together. Gotta give some shout outs here. So shout out to Synchros for the umbrella lawn chair people. It's a very simple blueprint, but it's cute and it works. You guys will see it in a bit, me placing it down there. Shout out to Wookie Bush again for the tropical shop. And I actually ended up grabbing something from Augie 3000's little box cat area. He had some little balls, and I was like, these are cool. They look nice. I used them as beach balls. And then Wookie Bush also had a volleyball thing attached to his shop that he gave me. So the beach isn't like crazy like everything else. It's just a little shop, and the boathouse, a volleyball set, beach balls, a couple people chilling. It's really quaint. It's really nice. It's honestly, it's the most simplistic thing in Fairground Farms, but one of my favorite areas. I spent a while, like you guys saw me do that beach. That actually took me a while. We're at 10 times speed. I don't know if I talked about this in the last episode, but I did want to address it here, and I had it in my notes. Can't remember if I covered it, but we're doing 10 times speed. It's not too much faster, but it's more efficient. And, you know, the faster the footage is, the better, because I'm doing a lot of talking in these videos, and, you know, after 5-10 Let's Builds, how much more can I find to talk about? So if these videos were 45 minutes long, you know, if they were at 6 times speed or 4 times speed, they'd just be crazy. So 10 times speed seems to be pretty good, and I don't think it's too fast. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Normally I do 8. I don't really think there's much of a difference, but it certainly makes things go fast. Like if I work on something for an hour, it's like 6 minutes for you guys in the videos. So, yeah, you can get a lot done or see a lot get done in a very, very short amount of time, which makes us just blitz through these Let's Builds. And I think that's good because there's nothing worse than watching a Let's Build series that takes, what, a year and a half, and it's 87 episodes long, and you watch an episode and it's just placing fences down in this area of the park, and that's it for 30 minutes. No, I want to blitz through these because we're moving at such a fast rate. We have so many people supplying blueprints. I'm sneaking a box cat in there. Shout out to Augie. I used his little little feeders there for the animals, the troughs, so our animals eat candy, and they are candy. Well, maybe it's a different type of candy. They're not carnivore or what's the word? Cannibals. So yeah, lots of final details here. I found this nice little teapot from Chance Workshop. I wanted to fit it somewhere and I couldn't. It had the water wheel on it, and I thought at the top of the waterfall's pushing the water wheel. I ended up doing this little ladder. It's a little bit odd looking, but hey, I've fit it in there. It looks cool up at the top of the hill. It does kind of cover up one of the buildings from Coaster CAD, but it is what it is. That's where I got it. I love this UFO. I had to use it somewhere. I'm really going through all the last minute blueprints, trying to see who didn't get in there, who can I get in there, what can I still use. So, I mean, that was something on my mind in every single episode. How am I going to use this? Where can I use that? And I think it gets a little bit easier every time, because when you first start off and Fairgrounds is empty, you're like, okay, this could be an idea, that could be an idea. Okay, I got an idea for this. I got an idea for that. How could I use this? And you're like, okay, well, how much space do I have, and will I be able to do this? And you're really just like doing the math and planning the ideas. So a lot of the little ideas I set for later. I'm like, okay, hopefully I can fit that in here. And then now when you get to the final stages, you get the opposite problem where you're like, okay, well, I've used almost everything I wanted to do. I've done everything that I wanted to do. But now I still have this whole area to do. And I'm quite satisfied with, getting everybody's blueprints in. So how do I fill this? And that's where I went to, for the last episode, I went to the workshop for a few extra farmers market items, five or so off the workshop. I ended up digging through Wix's workshop, Chance, Floss's, and just trying to grab anything fantasy or candy related. I had this nice little caterpillar. I don't know if I mentioned this. It was done earlier on in this video. A little caterpillar that said the Hungry Caterpillar or something like that, or the Hungry Worm. And that was a nice transition going from the food court to the coaster. Because the story or the idea that Coaster Cat had for that caterpillar was he's just going through the candy trail eating all the candy. Like, those are a perfect match. So I would have liked to have it like right at the coaster, but he did this nice little statue and he decorated the area, and I really couldn't fit it in there without being obscuring. So you only see the sign going to the coaster if you're coming from the food court. But I thought that was like a nice spot to have it. So this train, it was Wix picked it as his favorite. He was going to throw it in there when he took his turn a couple episodes ago, but he didn't. So I still had to find a spot for it, and I glanced through the whole hill area, and it was actually, the train's actually quite big, and I needed like a perfectly straight spot. So I ended up doing that tunnel at the top of the hill there, where it's kind of like coming up and around through the mountain. It's like an underground mountain train, and it just pokes out for a second and it's going back into another tunnel. I wasn't too happy with that, but it was better than just like stuffing it in the hills where you wouldn't see it at all. I wanted it to kind of be noticed. So I thought that was like probably the best spot for it. I looked around on the coaster where I could have put the train passing by while you're on the coaster, and there really wasn't any good spot where both on the left and the right would give me good opportunities for caves. So it is what it is. I put it there, and I try to make the best decision making with everything that I put down, but by this time I've made so many decisions on every single thing on this park that so you get a little bit fatigued and snapped on ideas. So even though I'm okay with the train, I know I could have done better. It's just one of those things where you feel like, oh, maybe I could have done better. But you can't do everything to 110%. And this last area, it was really down to what do I have left. I've done everything I've wanted to do with Fairground Farms. All my best ideas have come forward, and they are in the park. So what do I do with this last area? And I don't want it to be big and bustling, because as you're coming in from the boats, or you're coming in from a different zone, like let's say Cupcake Kingdom, you come in here and if you had a whole bunch of tall blueprints right there in the center, you won't see that rolling shot of everything that the whole park, the vista, the landmarks get obscured. So I wanted something kind of low. I was even thinking of just painting it like fields and putting some crops down, but thought about it for a sec. At the end you see that big candy puke all over the cave. Chet came up with the idea. The whole story is like you're taking Candy on this journey through the Candy Trail all the way to Candy Kingdom. So you have to pass through all the zones on the way to Candy Kingdom. So in bits of the story, she wanted to like have the ride look at some of the wagons, like the wagons moving along in the story. So it gets to the cave, and the cave is just full of candy from all the candy people that have done the candy run. The cave is like a magnet for people who brought too big wagons that were too full, and it's just stuck to the wall, stuck to the ceiling. It's just a ton of fun. So that's the last spot. That's where you haul everything over. So I figured it would be a good spot to be our shipping and receiving area, because it's really the only... I have a little shipping and receiving area in the marketplace, but that's more or less like the goods being brought to the market. So, all the things that are being grown, they bring them in boxes, they bring them to the market, and then they unload them and put them in their stalls and put them in their shops. So that's not really the shipping and receiving area for outgoing candies to other lands and destinations. So that's where I came up with the concept for doing that over here. Candy piles, crates, all those candy crates. Somebody made those like late, and I had to put them in because they're perfect. They're all nicely packed up. They are labeled. They look really cool. So I put a few of those vehicles in there and different things like that. It's not the most captivating area. It's just assorted goods laid out on a field. There could have been a warehouse or something, but I thought about it again. Like whatever you end up building, whatever, it obscures your vision coming into Fairground Farms from the boathouse or the other zones. Here you get a look at Wookie Bush's little set that he made for me, and this is me assembling the beach that I talked about earlier. It's a very simple layout. I didn't want to do like a big sprawling beach area and have like that whole tropical vibe, because that's what really Gulpy Island's going to be about: the palm trees, the gummy bears, and the tropical life of the tropical gummy life. So we just got a little hint of it. I just wanted a little something. So just a few assets down there, very simple, nice shoreline. It came together looking really good. I like it. Big boardwalk, and that's enough. That really is enough. If I come up with any tropical ideas, I want to save it for Gummy Island, but it's okay to have a hint of it here. But I was looking through and I was like, oh, maybe I should use Wookie Bush's, what was it, the tiki bar he did for one of our shop contests. It was amazing, and it actually would have fit and looked pretty good there, but it's generic tiki cheeky, and it's so tropical feeling. It would have been cool, but like I really don't think at the end of the day it fits for Fairground Farms. And it's tricky with these last rides there. That mushroom ride there, the Monty Leone, that you saw at some point, I deconstructed the Absolum ride skin that you guys will see from Blueprint Spotlight, or you did already. That was created by one of our members that did all this Alice in Wonderland stuff, and putting that down just the way it was with the caterpillar and the sign, it straight up looks, and the hookah, it straight up looks ripped out of Alice in Wonderland. It doesn't fit. But you rip that all down and just keep the mushroom. I mean, it's adjacent to our mushroom farm, so it works. So it is fantasy. It has a big mushroom. You deconstruct it a little bit, and you can make it work with Fairground Farms. Same with Wix's mushroom ride. the Crazy Shroom. It's adjacent to the Mushroom Farm. Works really well there. So there are times where I can take elements of fantasy and make it work. Oh, this popcorn shop. I don't know why. Oh, I was digging through Chance Workshop, and I discovered that at some point, and I almost forgot to put it in there. But when I did subscribe to it, I was like, oh, this needs to go in there, because it's a smaller version of the big ride behind it, and guests can actually buy popcorn there. She did an amazing job there, and it needs to be in the cornfield. So ended up remembering it and sneaking it in last minute. Super glad I didn't forget about that. And yeah, it's just a final tiny touch. And here I'm going around doing all the lampposts, the vista points, the benches, all the last Passover stuff. I attached all the queues, made sure everything's working, make sure all the shops are set up. So it's just like me just going over the final pass of the park, making sure all the small details are in. But touching on what I said there, having to go to the workshop for final details, it's interesting because I know there are people out there like that popcorn shop, it needs to be there, that Chant made. And it's like, well, why wasn't that already on the list? Why wasn't that on the to-do list from the beginning? So while we're having these challenges, I also think we might need to have like a separate suggestion form. Things that people have already made in the past, or things that people found from the workshop that they think would work well. We need almost like a suggestion form, and we can't really spotlight those things as in videos, because here's a top-down shot of the whole park. I'm super proud of this. I look down at this and I go, wow, that's level design. That's a world. That is bustling. That's my favorite thing of this whole thing, is looking at it from a top down. That always, to me, like whenever I go to do a park spotlight, first thing I do is always look at the top down, and I can kind of determine how interesting this park is going to be. And when you look at the top down on this, it's just like, wow, there's a lot going on there. I mean, I don't mean to be conceited or anything, but that's it. I'm proud of it. That's all I can say, really. I look down at it, I'm like, I didn't expect it to turn out this way. You know, what the process that I had to go through to get from point A to point Z, and point Z, you know, being I'm able to look at it all from a top-down bird's eye view. It really gives you a sense of accomplishment, and me banging my head against the wall, trying to think of the perfect layout, trying to think how these areas are going to come together and look good and sectioned off. There's little hours and hours and hours and hours of work in between each recording that you guys didn't see or experience, and you know, that's so when you see it all from the bird's eye view, it just it's relieving for me that it turned out looking pretty good. But that's only my opinion. I worked hard on it, so I feel like I'm happy with it. Like I said, there are areas like the train and the last shipping and receiving area. I mean, even this beach, I feel like I could have done a little bit more with it. There's a little area back there by the cocoa bog, a little bit of green grass there. There's little areas here and there that even terrain work that I feel could still be done and pushed a little further. But it's like when you're already at 112,000 pieces, you have, what, 5 or 6 other big areas of the park to work on. It's time to go, okay, good is good enough, and we got to move on. But I'm pretty happy with all the little areas in Fairground Farms. I love the way the nighttime lighting worked out, which is kind of by fluke. Everybody lit their own blueprints and stuff like that. I did have to go in between some episodes and off camera to tone down the lighting on certain blueprints and try to make them match. And then some parts were too dark, so that was what my final pass was for. But hey, nighttime lighting is something I check in parks, in every park spotlight, and I'm glad to say that I can check off that box here and say, all right, we did nighttime lighting, and it looks pretty darn cool. Even though, you know, it's a bit of a color bomb, every area is appropriate when you're standing in there from the first-person perspective. From a top-down view, it looks pretty cool too, for a rainbow of colors. So there you go, guys. That's a last look at all the cinematic shots. Now, you know, we'll have a park spotlight coming up after this, so probably be the next video, I suspect. I'll be releasing that as a park spotlight, not a part of the series, a numbered part, because I just think it should be a park spotlight. And so we'll go in there, we'll look at everything from probably a Tegid ground view, ride the coaster again, and check out some of the rides closer to the shops. Maybe I'll unleash some guests into the park and some employees. I'll have to revert that save, but for the time being, I'm I'll do that, and we'll see what the bustling Fairground Farms looks like. It'll probably be the first time and the last time that we'll be able to do that, because it's already at like 30 FPS and stuff. I suspect by the time we finish Cupcake Kingdom, I might not be able to let guests in, or there might be certain constraints. We'll have to see. I mean, we've visited parks in the past that were low FPS, and everyone still seems to enjoy it. So, but the very, very, very end, we'll make sure to get some cheat engine shots out for you guys, and we'll balance it as we go. But Fairground Farms is basically going to be the ultimate experience, because still great frame rate, can put guests in there. There's 112,000 pieces, so it's highly detailed. So yeah, should be the best overall experience, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. So looking forward to see what we do with Cupcake Kingdom. Stay tuned for the Park Spotlight, then stay tuned for the Cupcake Blueprints that follow up, so you can start getting an idea of what Cupcake Kingdom might be looking like. Well, Synchros right now is working on the coaster. Very excited about that. Wish him the best on that. Hopefully it turns out great. And there you go, guys. That's going to do it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more daily Planet Coaster videos. And if you'd like to support the show, you could do so by becoming a patron. Links are down in the description below. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.